Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we are going to be continuing on with our C# tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial, we're not going to be writing any code, but we're going to be talking about a topic, and that topic is exceptions and how exactly exceptions in C# work. Because before we get to the next video, where we will actually be learning how to catch and handle exceptions when they happen, we need to know how they work. How does C# handle throwing exceptions and all that? How do exceptions work in the call stack, right? So, exceptions, to begin with, they are errors that will happen during runtime. So, for example, let's say we have a program, a console application, where we're prompting the user for numbers to divide by, right? We want to create a program that allows the user to divide two numbers. Well, the user could enter 0 as the second number. So say 10 divided by 0 or something. That would throw an exception. And that exception is called divide by 0 exception because, well, you can't divide by 0. Right? So when that exception is thrown and you receive that exception will bubble up to the top of the stack, the call stack. So the call stack, before we go any further, is essentially like all the different methods and everything that's called over the course of the execution of the program. So you call one method, for example, and it could call another method, and that method could call several more methods, and so on and so forth. That is how the call stack is created. So whenever an exception is thrown, it continues to bubble up through that call stack until it reaches the top of the stack, or it runs into code that catches that exception and handles it. If there's no code to catch and handle the exception, the exception will then cause the application to close and crash. Okay? So, in order for our application, in this case our division application, not to crash, we have to handle that exception. So that could be, for example, displaying an error message to the user saying, hey, you can't divide by 0, and then prompting the user again for input. And that is what we call failing gracefully. Okay? In order for you to build robust applications in the real world, you have to be able to fail gracefully when something fatal occurs in your application, like an exception. For example, many Windows applications or Java applications, when they access a database, there are plenty of opportunities for exceptions to be thrown when something goes wrong with the data access code. So, in order to prevent your application from crashing, the developer has to handle those exceptions in a way that the application won't crash, and the user can continue using the application as if there wasn't anything going wrong with the application itself. You see that a lot, it's one of the most vital pieces of knowledge for building actual applications. Maybe not for the language itself, but for building software. When you're using the actual language, it's vital. So that's why I'm including it here. Okay? Now, you can also throw exceptions in your own methods, and I will show you how to do that later on in a couple of videos. But you can do that. So, for example, if in one of your methods you catch an exception, but it's not appropriate to handle that exception in your method, you can throw it. So whoever calls that particular method that you're writing has to then handle that exception. And again, we'll talk about that in a later video. But that pretty much does it for the brief explainer on exceptions, what they are, and how exactly they work in C# and .NET. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.